Good morning, kia ora koutou. Welcome to this morning, Tuesday the 15th of April. I've got a couple of briefings today, the first one being just an update on stage 2 of our Zero Waste Hub at Otaihanga. So we're looking forward to this. Robbie's going to be leading this with the rest of his team. So I'll let him introduce people, but welcome also to Ben, who's the manager of the Zero Waste Hub, who's in the room as well. Good stuff. Welcome to this day. The Mayor is online and we've got Liz Coe's on a leave of absence, and I'm sure we may have some others drop in online or drop in as this briefing progresses. But I'll hand over to Robbie and we'll get into it. Thanks, Robbie.
Cool. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Yes, I've got a few guests with me today. So Ben Wakefield is the site manager for the Zero Waste Hub. Philippa is helping with comms. Richard over the back there is our new waste minimisation officer, and David Binstead, who's been with us for a while now. So I just thought I'd recap where we've got to with phase 1. So in November 2022, Council agreed to allocate $150,000 per annum for 3 years from the Waste Levy seed funding. That was to the Sustainability Trust and localised to establish and operate the Zero Waste Hub. The main focus being C&D waste and looking to accept other materials for reuse and recycling. So that was a 2-stage EOI business case process, which largely estimated revenue based on the performance of the current tip shop. Then in November 2023, we signed the lease for site for 5 + 5. So phase 1 is now complete. So that's the physical works on site to set up the storage, the offices, bathrooms. A legal entity was established. The partnership from Sustainability Trust and Localised formed a new entity called Kapiti Zero Waste. The team was formed starting with Ben. Site's currently accepting reusable building materials, selected recycling initiatives. There's a community composting corner and various leaseholders working on the site as well. So to date, have you hit 100 tonnes yet? Sweet. Yeah, so just over 100 tonnes, around 60 tonnes of timber. 15 local and regional businesses have been engaged on commercial waste reduction. Good relationships developing with the major waste companies. Currently there's 3.2 FTE on site. 1 employee was hired through the MSD Flexi Wage program, and overall the site is contributing to multiple objectives and targets under the WMP. Cool. So stage 2. So the current tip shop at the Otaihanga Zero Waste Hub will be closing, and we're constructing a new reuse shop on the Zero Waste Hub. So from the 30th of June this year, the tip shop as is will close. Some of the reasons for that, the traffic is incredibly congested. It's in the middle of the main haulage route for waste there. And it also just brings everything together on one site. So you want to do reuse activities, it's all centred next door on the Zero Waste Hub. The offerings at the new reuse shop will be slightly different. The new building will store and display recovered building materials, electronics, and other items still to be determined. So the reuse shop will be located in between the covered timber storage area and the offices on the site, and that big gap. The total cost of the building was just under $350,000. 100% of that funded from the waste levy. So that's 20 metres by 15 metres, so 300 metres squared of shop and workspace, same size as the building next door. Still on track to be completed around August this year, so the building consent was just submitted this week. Once all that's done, they go up pretty quickly, so that's total span building this for us. So the current building, we did look at relocating it. It was difficult and expensive. You get really close to that $350,000 mark quite quickly. Heavily congested traffic flows in that site. So the building will be returned to council from waste management at the end of the financial year. It could be used for additional resource recovery operations, storage, Once the new site is open, it might be an EOI process or a business case for something complementary to go into that building. It won't be, no, it's too expensive. So the building will stay as is, but with operations moved next door. So for a little while, it'll remain empty until we figure out what the best use is for it.
Yeah, if you have a look inside, it's now 16 years old, maybe 17 years old. We built that, maybe 17. Must be close to that.
15 plus, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the sort of building that really lends itself to being moved. It was reasonably cheap to put up in the first place, and as Robbie's mentioned, it's more cost effective to build a new one and then look to maybe repurpose this one and see what we can do with the operator on that site.
Upcycle it.
Yes,
We did try.
exactly.
We'll try and move the seagull ornaments over as well. Or whatever
Can I-
those things are.
Yes.
Geese.
Can I just remind us to use our microphones because we've got people online. Horiwai has also joined us along with the mayor online.
I just wondering, how big is that building? How many square metres is it?
300 square metres. So the exact same floor size as the current building, if you're familiar with that. So
No, I haven't been out there. Just wondering if there was room for a burnout pad inside.
Inside. Have to do it for 1,000 a square metre.
We're very good.
probably
I'm not fussy if there's room outside. We could have a burnout pad because that's where we had our first burnouts way back, was at the Otahuanga
the car track
landfill.
at the Otonga landfill. Yeah, that's buried now, I think.
It's where the composting
Yeah, that's right.
fire was.
So key dates, public comms will start straight after this briefing. Mid to late May, we'll stop accepting goods at the tip shop. As is, we'll potentially make, depending on what comes through, we'll kind of play that by ear. We're looking at doing a tip shop open day in June, so that'll be still trying to iron out the details, but maybe a gold coin donation, come in and grab a bunch of stuff for a gold coin to help us remove the current stock.
You can as many golf clubs as you can carry out the door. If you,
You have to carry it out in your arms, so $1 for as many golf clubs as you can carry. Yeah. So 30th of June is the official tip shop closure date. Looking at late July for construction of the new shed complete, and then in August, opening of the reuse shop and a grand opening and probably a site open day led by the Zero Waste Hub. That's the new shop. So it'll have a bit of a different focus and product range than the existing tip shop. There's some things we won't do, clothes, books, and general household items. So there's a lot of really good second-hand shops in Kapiti. The site is liaising with them. We're going to offer first grabs for the tip shop to some of the local second-hand shops. We don't need to try to do everything, so it's leaving the things that are done well already through those businesses, leave it to them, and then we'll focus on wood and metal fittings. There's already really good quality bathroom fittings on site. Household appliances, electronics. So electronics will be tested and tagged or refurbished and sold, ready to go. Whereas at the moment they're decommissioned at the current tip shop. So that's probably the main key improvement. Will be really good quality, refurbished electronics.
About bikes.
It's a good question.
Sorry, I hate to interrupt, but it's a lovely drawing and a really cheap building at 1,000 a square metre. Any chance of getting some windows in there so we can see what we're buying?
So the front door is the same, so glass double opening front doors.
Roof lights.
Yeah.
yeah, I think.
There are panels in the roof as well, so there will be a reasonable amount of natural light.
Great.
As you'll appreciate, windows create two problems. They're really expensive, and there's security risk.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yes, it does have natural lighting. You can't. I can see it there. There's clear light, but your windows are an issue. So some of the benefits, obviously, the environmental impact. By diverting materials from landfill, we're reducing waste and greenhouse gas emissions. In particular, timber, plasterboard, which decompose and create methane in landfills. The economic benefits, obviously with the community being able to buy cheap materials. Also supporting local economies by creating jobs, as we've already seen. There's been quite a few created in the early stages. There's a lot of community engagement going on, so promoting an awareness within these groups and also bringing our current wasteman groups together on site. The site's been hosting workshops already. Resource efficiency. Once you visit site, you'll realise that the scale of things going to landfill is massive. You know, the site just acts as a point to slow down that disposal to landfill. Accessibility, having more affordable second-hand items during the cost of living issues makes sustainable living more accessible to everyone. And then community resilience, having materials available at short notice increases community resilience. In the Kaikoura earthquakes, the local recycling centres was cleared out with warm clothes and blankets. So having those materials on hand at short notice really helps out in a natural disaster. The project really aligns strongly to the top 3 community outcomes for Kapiti. It is so with the partnership with Zero Waste. Sorry, we'll get into the partnership agreement.
Sorry, Robbie, just on the shop, is that the last
Oh yeah, it is.
slides on this? So one of the main reasons for today is actually the shop is actually the reuse shop. If you've been into the current one, you know it's very low key sort of in terms of how it's run and maintained, and it's very cheap. You know, it's $2 for the clothes. It's very much at that scale, and just letting you know that. And the new shop is not going to be. It's not the same offering, and you might get people out there in the community that will say, well, this was providing a great service. My daughter goes there and buys clothes, and she said it's great because it's way cheaper than some of the other second-hand shops. Where you might get something for $2 there, it's $20 or $15. But it's not. So again, we're not providing that same service. This is, as Robbie said, it's more structured around that reuse, more a bit upscale in terms of some of the electrics and things like that. But some parts of the community I expect will be maybe a little bit grumpy that they can't go and get something for $2 there, or that they have to go to the Salvation Army or one of the other shops. So again, we just to let you know that's there might be some noise in that space around concern, and we'll, as Robbie said, we'll make things available to those other shops. Talk to them, and we'll be notifying the community that this is happening and trying to show them that what we're providing links to a bigger picture sort of reuse process. But yeah, that's not going to change possibly some of the people not being happy about it and contacting you and saying, what are you doing closing this down? It provides a great service at the moment, although I'd suggest maybe 60% of the stuff in there never actually moves anywhere. Yep. Maybe 70% of it, probably 30% of it goes out the door. The rest, I don't know, just stays there, and maybe some of it falls out the back door into the landfill. But yeah, so that was one of the key things for today, was to get you up to speed with what we're doing and how it links to everything else and what that means.
So just to follow up on that, is there going to be, or are there plans in that new shop to profile the other shops that exist for people to get some of the stuff that maybe they normally expected at the tip shop? Just in terms of, because I know it's not just places like over at Impact Hub, there's a Koha Centre that runs Friday mornings, which is by Koha, so it's a similar thing. I guess my My only concern is the potential competition that exists, and making sure we're fitting a niche spot with what we're doing there that others aren't providing, and helping some of the comms maybe on site with there's some other places around and supporting like the Waikanai Baptist Op Shop, Salvation Army. Just there's a lot of them around, so maybe that's part of our job as well, just to highlight what else there is for people to go and use.
Yeah, other councils have done a reuse directory which covers everything like that, from op shops to sites like this. So it's definitely something we. Oh yeah.
Kia ora. Yeah, thanks, Lawrence. Good. I think that's really important. We are filling that niche. Oh, sorry, whoever's listening online. This is Ben from Otahanga Zero Waste. Kia ora. We are thinking that there's a niche because we've looked around the other shops, and in terms of the building materials and electronics, there is actually most other op shops are going away from electronics because of the tag and testing, and there's lots of different stuff there. We're working in partnership with one op shop currently as well, taking their electronics that they can't sell and getting them recycled and reused as much as we can. My wife volunteers at the Koha Shed. I've got lots of friends that volunteer at the other op shops. Our intention is that when people come in and say, oh, what can I do with this? We have a really good staff dynamic and signage that say, if you want to recycle clothing or get clothing reused, go here. If you want to do this, go here. Even if people drop off, things to us potentially, and then we can get it to those other places. Maybe that's what it looks like in the future, but at the moment it's just going to be signpost to those different organisations.
Great. And even the potential to call them and say, hey, we've got some stuff, you're interested.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If a commercial entity has got a bunch of uniforms and stuff like that that are really good quality and they come to us, we're not going to put them up for sale. We'll ring a couple of the other op shops and just say, hey, look, we've got this, come and have a look at it. If you want it, that's great. If not, we'll work on something else.
Brilliant, thanks.
So the site as is, kind of just operating without much investment, much promotion. It's heavily utilised. When it opened at Thursday last week, while I was there, there was a queue at the door waiting for it to open. So it's been it's a big decision. There's lots of good stories to tell for those people if they are frustrated about the closure. One of the really exciting parts is this slide, e-waste. So the site's currently developing a local e-waste recycling opportunity with a focus on reuse. So ideally, people drop off the e-waste at that container or similar. Previously, it was mostly just getting recycled, so dismantled and stripped and going out of district. So now we have the opportunity for it to go next door to the Zero Waste Hub, where they'll either dismantle it or test and tag and refurbish and have it for resale in this tip shop. So the current tip shop does electronics, but they're decommissioned, so plugs chopped off. You have to get the plug redone yourself and get it signed off. So this is the whole next level of that with ready-to-go electronics full sale. So that's probably one of the key improvements to the service.
Can I just quickly interrupt?
Yep.
Glenn's got a question.
Yeah, thanks. There's a couple. On the that I was thinking about the bike. So I know that at least 3 of my son's friends got their bikes from the tip shop, who probably wouldn't have been able to get bikes otherwise. So are we still going to be making those available?
There's a few community groups that are currently doing it. Yeah, I think there's one in Paikak. There's a few here.
Yeah. Are they the libraries or just where you can get them? Because I know the problem with the library is, to give you an example, my family gets their bikes from the library, but it costs us about $150 a year, and a lot of families just can't. That's just what it costs to get 5 bikes from the library. So a lot of families, of course, we know can't afford that. Yeah.
Yeah, kia ora. So we are going to take that same service and operate it next door. We're already doing that. People drop off bikes for free.
Okay.
And we have it there. People can rifle through them. Every couple of months we'll do a clean out and things like that. So people can come and buy a bike for, $5, $2. Depends on what it is.
Yeah.
But also we know that there's a high level of people that want to donate bikes, but they're at a real quality level. So we'll probably do some trade me sales and things like that as well.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
But on that level, we'll offer that exact same service.
Cool, thank you. And the other one that I hear about a lot and people ask a lot of questions about is paint.
Yes.
Yeah.
So any water-based paint we'll be able to take. one of those signposters that Resine and Dulux take back their cans for recycling
Yes.
for free. So we signposted that as well. But a painter came to us the other day and we got 20 10-litre buckets that were still half full. They had their gloves taken out, which was great. But we were able to have those there for sale for people. So, yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
Can I just ask about the paint then? Does that have to be not old paint? It has to be.
Yeah. Good
Yeah.
good paint. So they've just used it and it's been sitting there for 6 months to a year. I mean, this is, not 10 years old, which is thin. Pretty much half, if it's half a tin, then we're happy.
Yeah, original container, water-based,
Yep.
usable. So some other opportunities, not directly related to the tip shop, but the wider picture of what the site is trying to establish. We're doing the site's currently doing some proof of concept for H1.2 timber as biochar. So obviously there's a lot of that coming through the site or through the landfill. There's no real timber diversion opportunities for the whole lower North Island. A significant proportion of waste to landfill is timber. So with the site operating, the tip shop will be, the core part of operating the site, but then these things going on in the background, it really allows us to show innovation and leadership in the space. If site could figure out how to do some larger scale, timber recycling, that would reduce our waste to landfill significantly, but currently there's nothing, so there's a massive opportunity in this space. The site could also support processing of waste minimisation plans for construction that we talked about at Climate and Environment Subcommittee last week. So council can make a financial threshold for any building consents to have to submit a waste minimisation plan. So that's the other councils in the region have done $2 million. If the site could provide feedback on the plans, they could potentially offer on-site advice that the whole start to finish, actually accept or collect materials. It's really good quality stuff that would go to landfill otherwise, so it's a good opportunity for everyone for that one.
Can I just say something? 22 Wicker Road was built out in the 1970s, was mainly built out of recycled materials, doors, windows, a whole heap of stuff, and it's still standing. And I used to live in it. Because David went out to there used to be a recycling guy at the end of Hurley Road, Kapiti and Hurley Road. And so most of the house was recycled materials. And the house is still standing, so it must be all right.
Very good. I just on that, so that previous slide, we had quite a few questions at the that Environment Subcommittee about that the bylaw and the application of that threshold around building works over that scale in terms of 2 million and how's it going to work and what. I guess this is somewhere where there's wider benefits than just the recycling reuse. If we can link that to helping the Zero Waste Hub continue to develop what it's providing there and sustain that operation, it's part of this sort of circular economy around what we're doing. And it also ties into what a lot of other councils are doing around that threshold as well. But I'm not sure if there was a bit of concern, I think, at that meeting around setting this up. But it is really nothing that's not happening elsewhere. It's linked to a whole lot of wider benefits, and this is a major one. I don't think we really talked about this at the subcommittee, but being able to provide that assistance and also then providing a source of material back to the Zero Waste Hub is really a big win for everyone in terms of continuing to help that get up and running and being more sustainable, because that's one of the things that we need to be aware of. A lot of these places get up and running, and then if you're not continuing to invest or looking at ways to keep them being sustainable and financially sustainable, they end up closing down. So that's one of the key things we're also trying to think around. Robbie's talked about some projects and things like that. That's something we'll continue to do and continue to work in that partnership to try and do things to help the Zero Waste Hub become more financially sustainable. Ben, I don't know if you want to add.
Yeah, so over the past 6 months, we've done a trial on this type of thing, is going with those. There's a building that's been done by the Ministry of Education. Obviously, nationwide, they've got their 70% threshold of waste diversion from building sites. In Auckland and North, you can tick that off real easily by working with one company, and they just shred all the timber up and send it up to Whangarei to get burnt in the Golden Bay cement, which is brilliant, but cost effectiveness, carbon emissions of transport and all that just doesn't work here. We've worked with this one building, a new build, and before working with us, they were doing 100% to landfill. We worked through a survey with them. We've supported them for 6 months. We've done some pickup and collections. They've dropped some stuff off. We've diverted 49% of their waste to landfill just by working with them on just a basic level. So we think there's room for improvement along those lines in terms of those commercial places as well.
Oh, thanks, Ben and Robbie. Yes, there's a really amazing initiative up at Old Taki with the tiny homes. We've got students returning from, or they've left college and actually come back because they want to be part of the program. Shelley's been very supportive of that. And I was just wondering if something similar is happening down at Paparamu with regard to top quality recycled timber for that.
So we had a waste minimisation application from that Otaki group, the school tiny home projects. So we funded them for some materials to make them from the Zero Waste Hub. Here, so we've got a tiny home builder on site, John Wraith, who's done a few models. You can see there's 2 kiosks on site at the moment, which have windows and doors from the community centre just over there. They're made from framing from the Waikanai Community Centre. So there's a few really good examples, but other than that, specifically for Parapara Umu, I'm not too sure Ben might know.
There's a few people that are really interested in it. If you know anyone, I suggest get them in contact with me because I've got a specific area on our site that I'd love to have for someone building tiny homes.
Thanks, Ben.
So pass them on to us.
Certainly will.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're asking John.
Are we
Shelley.
telling that story? The story of the. Is that your question? No. Oh. When he builds the houses, are we putting that out there anywhere about the success of it in our online communications or anything?
For the Otaki school project that's just been funded, it was November last year, so we do like to do case studies and follow-ups of that. We need to do a bit more comms on stuff, but you're kind of limited. You can't kind of overload it. So once site gets settled a bit more, once the tip shop's done, we'll be able to really kind of zero in and do some case studies on those people on site and just keep bringing more attention to what everyone's up to.
So Philip is feverishly writing away down there. So, yeah. So
but the thing is, we have a online, a digital kind of newsletter that goes out. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just it could just be a one paragraph. 2 or 3 sentences built from recycled timber at zero waste. And have a picture. We don't have to make it a big thing. Just tell a story, I think.
You're going to go this time, Marty? It's a good suggestion, Shelley.
Yeah, look, 2 questions. First of all, just commenting on what a fantastic job you guys are doing down there. From where it's been to where it's going, a lot of that's through you, Ben, but also the vision of the team and that sort of stuff. So 2 questions I've got. First one is around the lease. So we did a 3-year lease, so we've moved to a 5x5. Is that right?
Started off 5 plus 5. We're into year 3 of that already.
Oh, so the 5x5 is not after the 3 years that we're funding at 150k.
It includes it. Yeah, so lease and funding agreement.
Right, so they're already 3 years into a 5x5.
Yeah, so the final,
the
third payment of 150 has been made.
I thought it was a new lease. That's cool. And that 150k, is that continuing on after the 3-year trial?
Not as is. So the waste levy grants have quite clear funding requirements, so you can't just fund general OPEX for the site.
Yep.
We can fund through a grants process, we can fund specific projects. They like it to be specific, time limited with some key deliverables. So there are lots of ways that we could continue to fund that site, and we are looking into that. But as is, that 3-yearly 150 grand agreement is done and wrapped up.
That's working okay, Ben?
It's
Maybe conflicted.
just from that funding. Yep, we've worked that. That's great.
Yep.
We do have a runway towards the end of the year that we can keep going, but we probably would look for some other ways of funding if we can.
I think that, and that's I mentioned before, looking at projects that we can use to help sustain. That's definitely an issue at the moment. Is that $150,000 stops? So, you know, is the Zero Waste Hub in a position to continue on without any support from council? But I definitely think, and Robbie has talked about project-related funding for other work that they can use that benefits us, that also helps them in terms of their funding income. So another, you know, when we went through the annual plan, there was some low risk, medium risk, high, you know, some opportunities for future funding. One of those is absolutely the the wood-fired boiler there, biosolids.
Yep.
Certainly the wood-fired boiler. You know, there's what we spend in terms of fuel. If we could look to secure an alternative wood source that provides the level of moisture, you know, that meets our requirements in terms of specification, but also allows maybe the Zero Waste Hub to get involved in that process, then there you go. There's, you know, that's at least $200,000 a year we spend at the moment on pellets for the boiler. So we operate a business as a council that has opportunities, but we also operate in the middle that we can actually help facilitate other stuff, other work that could go through the Zero Waste Hub to help them as well. So that's definitely part of the conversations that we're having at the moment, and we need to have, like I said, that funding, as Robbie said, stops this year.
Yeah.
And we certainly don't want the Zero Waste Hub to go anywhere. So
No.
that
I
might
mean,
be something we come back to have another chat to you about as a council, in a different forum, about what ideas we've got there about how we can make that work.
Oh, look, what I'm seeing is a real synergy and council working really well with you guys. You guys are being very innovative with regards to what you're encouraging to happen down there. I look at the polystyrene aspect, say for argument, the tyres, all that sort of thing. So I think the co-op is definitely worth supporting. But yeah, it's all heading in the right direction. I just think it's an absolutely fantastic job, and you're doing absolutely great, guys. But it's just great to see everyone working together for these outcomes as well.
Oh, Glenn, did you? Or did you go off? Sorry, I thought you was on from there. That's right. Going back to the e-waste one there, is the relationship still there with the charity over the Upper Hutt, or what's happening there?
So we've ended that contract at the end of this financial year.
Okay.
Again, they've done a really good job for us for 3 or 4 years now. But it is the benefits of doing it locally. So we're keeping it within the whole boundary of the landfill. So while those guys did a good job, it wasn't local based. It didn't have a large reuse step. So those are the two key things: local and reuse. So that's why we've changed that service.
Okay, yeah. And we've got plans for the volume. I know there's quite a massive volume sometimes, especially after Christmas and that. There was I think you had to close the collection bit for a while because it was overloaded. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Zero Waste Hub's done basically a trial through one contract with a local business to do their e-waste. So they've jump in, Ben.
So we knew this was a potential for us. So we did a trial. One client picking up 660 litre wheelie bins since the end of January, and we've done 8.8 tonne since then. And that's not focused on reuse mostly because we don't have the internal storage, obviously. That's why the shed is important for us.
Yeah.
We estimate that's going to go to about 10 to 15 tonne a month. And if we can, even 20% of that can get reused, and the rest actually get recycled with some transparency of where it goes and what happens to it, I would be really happy with that.
Yeah, fantastic. And so the collection, that's going to move to Zero Waste from where it is now? The drop-off,
Initial
sorry, the
discussions.
drop-off, yeah.
Initial discussions. We will probably leave the container there for a little bit,
Okay.
just so and we'll service that pickup. We're just working through what that looks like in the future, because there's certain things that actually cost a lot to recycle and things that don't cost, and we get rebates for in terms of that. So there will be a select few items that actually will cost to drop off and get recycled properly. For example, printers, mostly plastic, got the toner in there.
Yeah.
If you're going to recycle that properly, it's about $10 a printer.
Yeah, at the moment they don't take. Well, officially they don't take them. do they?
Yeah, but you go there and there's printers and everything
Yeah.
there. So.
Yeah. Oh, cool. The last one on the new building itself, which looks great. Sorry, not the new shop.
The reuse shop.
Yes, reuse shop. How much of that is being built using recycled materials?
There's a sink. It's hard, it's part of what we need to figure out as well, the consenting piece for using, reused materials. But with this steel frame construction designed for 50 plus years, it's quite hard to reuse bits for it. We have got them to submit a waste minimisation plan as a bit of an example as well. There's not a lot of waste from a total span shed going up. It was designed so it fit with their standard, like standard widths, dimensions, that sort of thing. So it's not getting cut to a special size for us. So there'll be really low waste. We'll get a plan that shows that. But hard one to use recycled products in.
Yeah, cool. Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. I'll go to Mia Holborough, who's online.
Yeah, thanks for this. It looks really amazing. I was just going to make a couple of comments about the comms. I think it needs to be really clear and up the top that this was 100% funded by waste levies. Just there's a lot of scrutiny on our spending at the moment. And I think there's some really incredible stories to tell about this. I'm just following up on Shelley's comments and also Glenn's about that this has incredible social benefits as well as environmental ones, and I think that's something that needs to be really clearly communicated. Also, John Raitt, he's a bit of a resource if you want to communicate, being quite a famous actor. He's been in Lord of the Rings, King Kong, Shark in the Park, Outrageous Fortune. I'm sure he could star in a video for our waste management.
Awesome, good points. Philippa's going to comment.
Thank you, Mayor Holborough, for the segue that I was waiting for to be able to say my piece. I did want to let you all know that we do have a relatively high-profile comms campaign planned for this, because the audience who is affected by these changes are probably not on our channels. So we'll be using radio to advertise the tip shop closure, the last day for drop-off, what to do with waste in between, and so on, as well as all these other great story ideas that we can run through our own channels. So as Robbie said, we'll be pressing go on the webpage after this briefing, which we've got, and then we've got EK, Facebook, radio, posters, DL flyer to hand out at the tip shop, all rolling out between now and June. So you'll see it. It's funded by the waste levy. It's not rate funding. So yes, that is a key message of ours, Mayor Holborough. So yeah, there you go.
Thank you. Sounds great.
And if I was to add anything else to that, just the stories, you were talking about showing the pathways for the recycling and that sort of stuff. I think great to see it getting closer to actually realising those information bites as well.
Yeah, I think that's for us. It's being non-council operation in terms of that. We're supporting council as much as we can in terms of that. And one of the big questions from council has been, can you do polystyrene, for example? Yes, we can now. After a week, we've done 8 cubic metres of polystyrene getting dropped off, free residential polystyrene. So it's those kind of things that we can work in together and create those stories. We have an internal comms person. Initially, what we've just done is just done word of mouth and a little bit of social media, and we want to continue that for the next few months and then start progressing how we tell those stories and do that internally as well.
I'm slightly stunned by 8 tons of
8
polystyrene.
cubic meters, sorry.
Oh, cubic meters. Cubic meters.
Over 3 days, yeah.
Over 3 days.
Yeah,
Are
8
people
cubic
like
meters.
storing it in their sheds?
One
and
person has
garages?
stored it in their shed for
Waiting for this
a
day.
year and a half, waiting for this day, and they came in and dumped the cubic meter. It's for us. It's free.
Oh my
so
goodness.
this is something we're able to. We've worked closely with
incredible.
Xpol. Xpol have provided for us the resources to take it in at our staffing costs. So it's free to general public to drop off clean polystyrene. They pick it up from us once a week. However many bags we've got, replace the bags, switch around and around.
Can I ask, what do you do with it, the polystyrene?
Sorry.
Oh, how do
So
you repurpose
Xpol,
it?
a company that do underfloor insulation and ribraft, which is under concrete slabs for buildings,
Oh, cool.
all of that sort of stuff. They pick it up. They've got a distribution place here in Kapiti now, so they'll take it up with their trucks, take it to the hut where they've just commissioned a new heat press machine or heat compactor, which then breaks it down into its beads, and then they can use it in recycled products. So they've got 5 different products they use, a mixture of recycled and new EPS.
I was at the tip the other day, the dump, and I'm sure I read on the sign at the front polystyrene was, don't quote me on the number, but it was like $1,000 a cubic metre. There was no information there to say that you guys take it for free.
We've only
But
just
it's
started
only
that.
just happened, so
Yep.
there'd be good signage there because I took it home and spent 6 months putting it through the weather bin.
Yep. So yeah, it is on that commercial level as well.
I did.
One thing we're working on with Xpol, you got the residential, so we can do that free. So we'll put that out and we'll work on that. But on a commercial level as well, I've got 5 connections in in Paraparaumu. They go through 1 to 2 cubic meters of polystyrene a week just through their normal job.
Because it's an ecological disaster, that
It is.
polystyrene. It's just, it's horrendous. And
We shouldn't be using it, but
Yeah.
if we can get it recycled, that's the lesser of 2 evils.
yeah, we buy a TV and it's got
Yeah.
like half a cubic metre of polystyrene in it. It's like, I don't know why, but yeah. So that signage would be gold if.
Yeah, we've got a couple of things. Once this transition starts being public, we'll put some signage at the waste management site.
Yep. And if David, my neighbour's listening, I actually put a fair bit through your wheelie bin too. Sorry, David. My shout next one.
I was going to say, Coops, where's your shed for storing your polystyrene and, you can drop off a cubic metre? Oh, that's for your asbestos.
Keep that quiet.
Yeah, that's exciting. All right, I think there's no other serious questions anyway. So, is there anything else you want to add, Robbie? Finish up.
I think that's it. So comms will start going live. Will we share a lot of that key messaging?
I think it's also important for us as elected members to know this stuff because in our conversations with people, we can let them know. That polystyrene one is just gold right there. That's really, really, really important. So now that we're all aware of that, let's get it out there and make the most of it. See if we can boost cubic meterage that we're getting back. Xpol will be happy because it's cheaper, well, somewhat cheaper for them than making it all themselves. So it's great. Really good work, team. Some awesome stuff going on in this space. So thank you for all of that. We like these good news stories.
Oh, it's just good news after story.
Yeah,
Good news
so-
story after good news story after good news story out of the space. Because whereas the polystyrene, they're taking tyres now as well. Well, next door's taking. Doesn't matter who's taking them, but
But we pushed hard for that, and then because they're open more, they're taking them. So
Right.
tyres next door as well.
that's a free drop off as well. So all this hard stuff that we're dealing with now, it's starting to get some good pathways.
I just want to add from Kapiti Zero Waste, which runs Otahanga Zero Waste, we have thoroughly enjoyed, which doesn't hear much, working with council and specifically the waste team. It's been a journey and working through. There are some challenges, but it's been great to work with them, and we think that the partnership that we're working towards and working through is brilliant. So thank you guys.
That also is a good news story right there. So thanks, Ben. Appreciate that, and appreciate the work that's going on in here. Fantastic. We'll close that briefing, and we've got another one in about 10 minutes, so you get a chance for a bit of a break.
Morning tea.
Sorry, 11. Whoa, you get 40 minutes of a bit of a break. We're also just FYI, we're working on Thursday.